Okay, guys, we're going to finish up D-Day today. Remember, D-Day, D stands for day, day. Um, and I was able to find on YouTube pretty easily, actually. It's about a 24-minute clip on the beginning of Saving Private Ryan. Now, for some of you that are a little bit of the weaker stomach type people, understand this is very graphically violent. These are the hedgehogs here that you can see here, and then over here you've got a log ramp. Okay, all this is exposed on the beach because they are going in at low tide. Okay, now you can see overcast skies here. In the movie Saving Private Ryan, the weather kind of appears to be better than it really was. The weather wasn't very good, but it was good enough. Yeah, a lot of guys got seasick on their way over. And the movie begins and ends. You see that guy at the very beginning. Begins and ends at the cemetery in Normandy. It's an American cemetery that the French care for, and it's. I mean, having been there in 1999, guys, it was. I mean, it's really impactful just to see how many Americans sacrificed their blood in France to liberate them in Europe from Nazi fascism. So please check that out if you hadn't seen it. And if you want to watch the whole movie, please do. It is a wonderful movie. Historically accurate? Not so much. Now, this opening scene is pretty accurate, but it's a fictional story actually based on something that really did happen, and that was the Sullivan brothers. They were all on, there were four brothers that were all on the same ship. The Navy allowed them to be on the same ship together and serve together. Well, guys, that ship was sunk. I think it was, don't quote me on this, the Juno, and all four brothers died. So the mother and father of these sons, I mean, they got all four telegrams saying that their sons had died the same day, and they decided to start splitting people up from there on out. More recently, I know in Iraq, there were a couple of brothers that wanted to serve together, and the Army told them, if you get permission from your parents to be in the same unit, we'll let you do it. But otherwise, we're going to split you up, because if something happens to that unit and you both get killed, your parents are going to lose both. And I saw an interview with this family, and the parents said, well, you know, if something bad happens, we'd rather that our sons were together. If something bad were to happen. So they let them serve together. I think those guys made it through. But, yeah, so that's kind of what this movie's based on, is these four Ryan brothers. So they're trying to find one of them. Okay, I'm not going to ruin the story for you. All right, so we'll come back to these notes. So what I got through yesterday was quite a bit, up to about the landings that started about 6:30 a.m., and then you can see what happened on Omaha Beach by watching that movie. Okay, so just looking at this map again, we're going to cross here, okay, where the invasion takes place. As far as Operation Fortitude, guys, Hitler had not been sleeping well. As you can imagine, this is June of 44, so we've taken Rome on the 5th. The Russians are starting to beat back the Germans and pushing them back towards Eastern Europe. And so they're losing on multiple fronts. Okay, so he's not sleeping well. And so General Jodl is his, or Jodl, is his aide to camp. And Hitler's taking sleeping pills just to get some sleep. And when the news, well, you know, the telegraphs, or the, not telegraphs, the telegraph wires, okay, they start saying that they see all these ships in the channel here. They still think the invasion's coming here. So General Jodl did not want to wake up Hitler, because he didn't want to fake, you know. face Hitler because he's so angry. And so he wouldn't wake him up that morning. And so it wasn't till about noon where Hitler was awoken, and they knew for sure this was where the invasion. So they started releasing the reserves to go in here. Now this let me talk about the French resistance a little bit. Okay, the French that were helping us, we were sending coded messages over the radio from across the channel, and they were listening for key words to know when the invasion was going to happen. Because when the invasion was going to happen, this French resistance was going to try and destroy some railroads that the Germans would use to get troops in here, so to mess up the railroads. In the night of the invasion, at early morning hours, they were supposed to light the landing zones for the 101st and the 82nd Airborne, so that they could find where to land to take those bridges. Because of the weather, those didn't work very well. So they certainly they cut telegraph wires as well to try and stop the communication between the front and headquarters back here. So the French did play a role in this, and this is the coded message that they were listening for. And these were the words that said, "Hey, the invasion's coming," and it was this: Jean has a long mustache. Jean has a long mustache. Okay. And when they heard those words, they knew the invasion was coming. So that's actually, you'll see that phrase used in a movie called Red Dawn. I know some of you have seen it, the original version. There's a part in that movie where they use that term, John has a long mustache. Okay, so pretty cool stuff. So continuing here, I wanted to talk about Pont du Hoc. Okay, this is where the cliffs were, and when you looked at the beaches, the Germans had a large gun encampment down here, and because the point sticks out, let me find this for you here. I'll show you more specifically. Now I got a good map in here somewhere. Be patient. Okay, so if they have a large gun here, they're able to fire down on all the beaches, okay? And so the Army Rangers were tasked with climbing these cliffs here, okay? They're actually going to climb on the other side. And you can see here, guys, they're using makeshift ladders to pull themselves up. You see this rope here. This is something that was kind of interesting. I don't know if any of you guys are like to fish, but there's something called a treble hook. It's got, instead of just one hook, it's got 3 hooks in one. They had these large treble hooks, about this big, okay? And they had these little air cannons, and they put them in there and tied a rope to the treble hooks and fired them up the cliff, okay? And there's barbed wire all up here. So they would get the rope tied down, with the, or pulled down on the treble and the barbed wire, the treble hook, and they would be able to pull themselves up that way. Okay, so using ladders and so forth, guys. Now the Germans are up here firing down on them as they're trying to climb these cliffs. Now I took this picture inside the bunker where this gun was supposedly at. Well, guys, when they got up there, there was a bunker for it, but there was no gun in it. So they climbed those cliffs for no reason. Okay, and you can read about that. They suffered 70% casualty rate. Okay, it's crazy stuff. These Army Rangers, they call them Reuter's Rangers. Okay, so that's one aspect of it. Okay, and once they got up the beaches, like I said, the other 3 beaches, Utah, 4 beaches, Utah, Sword, Gold, and Juneau, things went pretty well, but at Omaha it was really tough. Okay, so this kind of takes us to a point where Hitler still thought the landing was coming at Calais. It wasn't. The delay allowed the invading force to establish a safe beachhead. Okay, so D+7. Okay, the Allies had landed. That's 7 days. Okay, had landed 326,000 men, 50,000 vehicles, and 100,000 tons of supplies. Okay, so it was an amazing effort on the part of the Americans and the British and the Canadians. Okay, here's some pictures I took. This is that gun encampment, and this is a bunker actually looking out over Pont du Hoc that you could go down in if you go to Normandy. They've pretty much left it the same as it was. Okay, if I go back to this picture, this is Ronald Reagan giving a speech at Pont du Hoc. There's the monument. This speech, if you look it up, I think it's the 40th anniversary, maybe the 50th anniversary of D-Day. Reagan gave the speech, and you've got a lot of veterans that were here that had stormed these beaches. And it's one of the best speeches I've ever heard. Okay, this might actually be it here. I might try and pull that up. I'm going to pause here. Okay, guys, I found this speech. I'll make an attachment to the post. Guys, yeah, it's already got tears coming to my eyes just listening to this. So I'll come back. I'll put that on the post today, okay? So, okay, some other pictures here. This is just me standing out there in the field above Pont du Hoc here. And then what else do I got here? These are some German tanks, and these are some of the ships that were bringing in equipment. Later on, you see all the barrage balloons attached to them and so forth. And then my wife and I took some pictures at the cemetery, which you'll see in the movie Saving Private Ryan. Yeah, I can't read that too well, where that person was from, but you can see just how well manicured the cemetery is, and how the French do it, keep it very nice. And then just another picture we took. This is kind of a cool picture. And then this is at the monument here. Okay. And then this, excuse me. Yeah, I know I'm looking good right there, guys. This is at Arromanches, where they built that floating harbor. You can see the stuff still out there in the channel. Okay. And we actually took a ferry across, basically the same, route that the troops took across from England to France. It took about 4 hours on the ferry to do it. So it's pretty neat. And you can see some cliffs over here, as well. So, just some kind of neat stuff. If you ever do get a chance to go to Europe, you're into this stuff. I know Levi said he really is. We spent 2 days in Normandy, and then about 3 hours having dinner in Paris. So that was really what our focus was. But I didn't, I was in France for two and a half days, and really didn't meet one nice person there. So I'm not a huge fan. Anyhow, okay, so we get to the longest day here in this movie too, guys. Pretty easy to find if you're really into this. It's a great movie to watch, okay? We got that. Moving here, okay, this shows the beaches here, okay? Sword, Juneau, Gold, Omaha, and Utah, okay? And so we're going to start trying to break out from there. Here's Cannes, which is a pretty big city. This is where we came in on the ferry and docked here, and then took a van out to here, stayed in a hotel in Bayou up here. Okay, so we're going to start breaking out. Okay, so this is July 14th or July 11th through the 20th. So this is D plus 5 weeks or so. And so you can see we're still pretty close to the coast. We're having to break out against the Germans here. They're not just going to fold up and go home. Okay, but we are bringing thousands and thousands and thousands of troops every day on shore and breaking out against the Germans. Okay, this is where Patton is going to get his army. He's going to get an army back. He's not going to get the U.S. First Army back, but he's going to get the U.S. Third Army. So he will be part of that as well. There's a great speech that Patton gives at the beginning of the movie Patton, which is also another film. You can just YouTube Patton's speech, and it's pretty powerful. Okay, so basically from here, guys, we are going to break out across the hedgerows. Okay, in Kansas, we have rows of trees. You know what I'm talking about, that separate property lines. Okay, well, in France, it looks more like this. Okay, you've got rows of trees and hedges, but some of you guys grew up watching the cartoon movie Over the Hedge. Okay, you know what that is. Some of these are 6-8 feet tall. They're thick. You can't tell what's on the other side of these. So there could be German troops just on the other side of these hedges. So you never knew. Okay, so we're going to use tanks are going to be a huge part of this. Okay, and then you see troops kind of huddling behind the tank here. And then in this tank picture, guys, you can see there's like teeth on the front of these. They actually took those hedgehogs off the beach, those crosses, and they welded them on the front of the tanks to kind of cut through these hedgerows. Okay, so it just wouldn't get caught up in the engine and stuff like that. So that's kind of a cool thing. So I'm going to save the rest of this for the next lecture, and we've got probably 2 or 3 more lectures to get through. We've still got some major battles to cover and so forth, but I'm just going to cut it off there, and hopefully you guys will take some time and watch that Saving Private Ryan, Reagan's speech, and then watch the whole movie. That's all I got for today. I'm going to hold off on the questions. Cynthia sent me a nice email saying that she's getting hammered by a bunch of other teachers and thank me for not hammering you guys. I just hope you're watching these. Give me a thumbs up if you like the lecture and the post. I know a few of you have. Hope you're well, guys. Enjoy this weather, man. I got some serious sun yesterday, working in the yard and the garden and everything with Lily. And so enjoy this day. I think the weather's turning for the worse later this week. So take care, guys. Peace.